Appearing today, and I must say, Senator Wong, you look happy on that side of the table.
Happy? I'm not quite sure how to respond to that. Sorry, yes, I wasn't, not always, but thank you. I think I should thank you for that.
I've got one topic, two short questions. The Prime Minister, and notably the member for Hunter, Dan Rapopoli, has promised on multiple occasions a just transition and jobs for coal workers who are going to lose their jobs because of the government's push to net zero. 2,000 workers will lose their jobs as BHP elects to close the Mount Arthur coal mine early due to a lack of buyers, probably scared off by the regulatory outlook for coal in Australia. Given these promises of a just transition, were promises from the Prime Minister, is your department involved in any of the efforts to find 2,000 new jobs for these coal miners?
Senator, I can assist you with that question. So you weren't here earlier. We did a step through a stream of work, so a task force that has been established to actually look at the questions you've been looking at, in particular how we can support workers and communities affected by the transformation of energy in the Australian economy. And that was in fact a key theme that came out of the Jobs Summit as well. And so the government will be working closely with affected workers, their representatives, with industry and with jurisdictions to ensure we have a framework in place to support workers as part of those changes. So I will just say though, Senator, in answering that question, I just want to be really clear that I'm not agreeing with the assertion that the government's policies have brought about these changes. These changes and the impacts on workers have been accumulating over many years under a number of circumstances that are not attributable to one thing. There's a number of reasons why these changes are taking place, a lot of which is attributable to changing markets and global shifts in relation to investment in forms of energy, and of course international commitments on that front, and the government joins in those commitments, particularly in relation to its climate commitments. But you will see that there's a range of factors contributing to those changes, not just one.
Yeah.
As for Mount Arthur, I think it's best that you ask questions about particular assets to the Department of Climate Change, Energy, Environment and Water, or to the Department of Industry, Science and Resources, who will be able to assist you with that, I think, in more detail.
Could I, Senator Roberts, I appreciate the respectful way in which you engage on issues on which we disagree fundamentally. I do want to respond briefly to the assertion you made in your question. If you listen to what Mike Henry, the CEO or chief of BHP, says both about Mount Arthur but also about his broader strategy and where they are pivoting their investment to. It's not an issue of higher regulation, etc. It is an issue of BHP and other resource companies looking to where markets are going in the future. My recollection of Mount Arthur, and I could be wrong, was that there was no buyer found. BHP has made a set of decisions, but what is driving those decisions is their assessment. You may or may not agree with it about where global markets are going, which is more renewables.
Well, I think, Senator Wong, I thank you for the answer, the detailed explanation. My understanding is that the forecast for coal demand are significantly higher than people expected, and right now the prices are unheard of.
Prices are very high, and absolutely, and I think that what has occurred in Ukraine and the impact on global energy markets is obviously impacting upon the price of coal and the demand for coal now, for the reasons we understand. I'm making a point about if you're a CEO looking to 2050, and Mr Forrest also talks about this, and you're thinking about what is my company going to sell in 10, 20 and 30 years' time. It's not just the next few years where we're seeing a spike in prices because of high demand.
Well, with due respect, the price of coal, as I understand it, started taking off well before the Ukraine conflict. And then we can blame the price of coal on Ukraine. So that's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.